Welcome to episode 73 of the Family Answer Man podcast. Today, we're talking about the authentic versus the narcissistic during the holidays from a biblical worldview on the Family Answer Man podcast. I'm your host, David Orgis, and I'm here with Dr. Mark Crosby, pastor, educator, and marriage and family therapist, and they're a resident expert here on the Family Answer Man podcast, where we tackle tough questions that families face and discuss practical solutions that really do work. Now, this podcast is not a therapy session. We're not able to give specific advice to your situations, but we do believe that mental and spiritual health are very serious issues, and family dynamics can be and often are very complicated. So, for in-depth answers to your questions, we encourage you to seek professional counsel specific to your unique circumstances. Now, if you would take a second right now just to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell, you'll never miss an episode of the Family Answer Man. And if you're listening via podcast, take a moment to follow us, to rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. It really does help us out. It gets us to the top of people's feed, and we really appreciate you guys doing that for us. If our content has helped you at all, please share the Family Answer Man with your friends and your family so they can join you on this journey of building stronger, healthier, and happier families. Well, Dr. Mark, it's good to be back with you for another episode of the Family Answer Man. And the title for this answer, man, is pretty intriguing. The authentic versus the narcissistic during the holidays. Do you want to give a brief snapshot of what those words mean before we dive in today?
Yeah, I think the picture that all of us can relate to is from the book and then, of course, the movie The Christmas Carol.
Okay.
Written by Charles Dickens. Of course, I think there's been at least 100 or so versions of that, on the movies.
Everything
and
from the
theater.
Muppets to the Lego.
Exactly. My favorite is the 1984 version starring George C. Scott. Yep. But there's a scene that all of us are familiar with where Ebenezer Scrooge is talking to his nephew, Fred Hollowell. And Ebenezer Scrooge is being just very, very mean-spirited, very narcissistic, very curt, if you will, towards him. And he is basically insulting him and basically says, I would rather, die before I go to your, Christmas gathering and that sort of thing. And Fred Hollowell, the nephew of Ebenezer Scrooge, is still very kind. He's still very gracious. He says, your mean disposition, he doesn't say it quite like this, but your mean disposition is not going to take away my Christmas joy, if you will. And so there's this interchange. And then when Ebenezer Scrooge has this transforming heart, this transformation at the end of the book, at the end of the movie, he goes to his nephew's home, and Fred Hollowell accepts him with open arms. Yep. That is the picture of the authentic versus the narcissistic.
Okay.
So here you have the authentic, Fred Hollowell, who remains kind, who remains gracious, who remains loving, who remains merciful, who keeps his Christmas joy, his Christmas spirit, even though he's being insulted, he's being maligned, he is being demeaned and derided by his uncle Ebenezer. And so this plays out not just in 1843, during this classic written by Charles Dickens, The Christmas Carol, but it plays out in almost every family today.
Right.
And so because of all the changes, all the circumstances, all the various dynamics, all the beliefs, all the political differences that we see in our families and our homes, et cetera, this plays out, and it plays out especially during the Christmas season or the holiday season. And again, I would define the holiday season for those who want to push back for a moment as the season between Thanksgiving Eve and New Year's Day. Okay, I call that the holiday season. But during the Christmas time, if you will, there is this sense of the authentic versus the narcissistic as families are now in many ways brought, into the same room, brought to the same table, called to celebrate the same holiday. And there's going to be this tension and this dynamic, just like you see with the movie and the book, The Christmas Carol, with Ebenezer Scrooge and his nephew, Fred Hollowell.
Yeah, and that's a great point that, there are a lot of moving pieces, a lot of dynamics, and we all have different dynamics that surround our holiday season. The question that's written in today for the Family Answer Man, again, if you want to get in touch with us and submit your questions, we would love to hear from you. You can do that by emailing familyanswerman@liveoak.church. That's familyanswerman@liveoak.church. And the question that was written in today says this. It says, my husband was married for 25 years, and I was married for 20 years. And we both went through a divorce. We were both single for almost 10 years. And then we met, we fell in love, and we got married after dating after about 8 months. We attend church. We live a simple, quiet life. We have grown children who are married, but the problem is that his oldest daughter doesn't want me to be involved in any of their Christmas traditions. No meal, no gift exchange, no games, no movies, nothing. My husband is hurt and confused, and he wants to see his kids and his grandkids, but he doesn't want us to spend Christmas apart. Do you have any suggestions?
Wow. So once again, this is one of the many unfortunate, circumstances that many, I'm sure, will be facing this Christmas season, this holiday season, and maybe even those in our own listening audience, because this is a very common occurrence, especially in our world today. First of all, again, this is the difference between the authentic and the narcissistic, as I was talking about earlier, where you have one who wants to celebrate the Christmas tradition, with the meal and with the movies and with the gift exchange, etc., and the other one not wanting to participate or wanting others to participate, or basically wanting to control who participates and who doesn't.
Right, make sure somebody is excluded.
Exactly. And so this is the difference between the authentic and the narcissistic. Now, again, we have to recognize that the holidays are a sensitive time. I mean, this is a very sensitive time. We're coming together as family. Many haven't seen each other in a while. Many love the holiday traditions, and this holiday season is filled with holiday traditions of all kinds. Every family has something unique, perhaps, that they love to do. Whether it's, make bonfires, or whether it's exchange, gifts on Christmas Eve, or whatever it may be, there's all kind of holiday traditions that come with this season. And the holiday also focuses on family gatherings. I mean, we love the songs, I'll Be Home for Christmas. We love these songs, and we love what this means, and we love being able to get together after being away maybe for weeks or months at a time as your kids or your parents or whomever moves away. Now it's the time to kind of reunite. And sometimes because of this, the family dynamics change, and sometimes these traditions change. And the truth is, we don't like change. Every pastor who's listening has heard someone say, "Preacher, we don't like these changes." Yep. And so, here we go. But the reality is, change happens. It is inevitable. Your kids grow up. Your kids get married. You retire. You change jobs. You move away. The reality is changes are inevitable. And so the point is, the power of adjustment is now crucial. Learning how to adjust, learning how to recognize, the change perhaps in the family dynamic, learning how to recognize the fact that, your dad has remarried, your mother has remarried. Right. Your sister, may not show up this Christmas. She may go, to the other side of the family or whatever. So you have to make the adjustments. They are indeed crucial because, again, life and circumstances change often.
Right.
And we don't like that, but it's a reality. So the point is, the authentic person, I will argue, they will be flexible when the change comes. They will be gracious when the change comes. They will be kind. They will be benevolent. They'll be giving. They will want to be the one who brings blessing into the home, even though there's changes. Maybe there are fewer people at the table. Maybe there are more people at the table. Maybe there's someone who is not maybe in your family last year, it's in your family this year. Yeah. Your sister, got married. Your sister married someone with children. Okay? And so now they're in your family. And so the authentic person is going to be flexible. They're going to be gracious. They're going to be kind. And I think another picture of this would be in the movie Gone with the Wind.
Okay.
You had Scarlett O'Hara, and you had Melanie. Okay, one was very narcissistic, one was very authentic, and so this is the character that we're looking at. And so the next thing is this: there are two major principles also at work in this circumstance. And the first is the fact is that, Dad is remarried. Dad has a new wife. And marriage is important in the sense that there are certain principles and laws, as we've said before in previous programs, that come with marriage. And there is the law of priority. We've talked about that before. The law of purity, the law of partnership is at work here. And so dad has to make it clear, and the children have to recognize, the grown children have to recognize that dad has a new wife, and this is his partner, and she's the priority. And so this is important for them to recognize and to note. Not only that, the second area that's in place, second principle that's in place, is that his oldest daughter's married. So you're not dealing with a 14-year-old here. You're dealing with someone who has married and who has, again, embraced, hopefully, the leaving cleaving principle, meaning that she's married. Her priority is to her husband. She's left her father and mother. And so that dynamic now, again, is very important to understand. So again, what that means is that if the father's new wife is not welcome, then he's not welcome. And that principle needs to be understood, not in a maligning or caustic, sort of way, but it's just a principle of life that if my wife is not welcome to the Christmas traditions, then I'm not welcome.
Right.
And so this somehow needs to be communicated, in a very gracious and authentic sort of way. So again, I would encourage this married couple to be authentic. In other words, don't match insult for insult. You don't say, well, if that's how you're going to be, you're not welcome in my home. Or if that's how it's going to be, no gifts for your kids or whatever it may be. You don't match insult for insult. But an authentic person will discover what other options are available. An authentic person will look at, again, what other options can I get involved with during this Christmas season? You maybe want to spend Christmas with the other children. You maybe want to create plans with them. Or you may do something just the two of you. That may be an option for this Christmas. Authentic people maybe who are not welcomed in his daughter's Christmas may adopt a family. In other words, an elderly person in a nursing home, or maybe a family that doesn't have means, if you will, to have a quote-unquote big Christmas. So you may want to adopt a family. I'll call on some friends who may be in a similar situation. This may be a great time to call on those friends who go, hey, look, my kids are out of town and they're going here, or they're taking a cruise and we're kind of alone. Well, we are too. We're alone too. So, hey, why don't we get together and have Christmas, together? Why don't we have a Christmas meal together? Why don't we, barbecue or whatever on Christmas morning or whatever it may be? But in other words, call on some friends who may be in a similar situation. Travel. Maybe this may be a good time for this couple to travel someplace that has some fun Christmas traditions. Gatlinburg, for example, is all decked out for Christmas, Other cities, I think Natchez, for our Natchez listeners out there, sometimes decorates for Christmas.
Pretty gorgeous.
Yeah. And so spend some time maybe in some of these places that have some, community Christmas traditions that you can enjoy. In other words, here's the point. Don't let one family member control your involvement, control your mood, or control your joy during Christmas.
Wow, that's really good.
And that's what this person's trying to do.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what the narcissist tries to do. The narcissist wants to control your involvement, your mood, and your joy, not only during the Christmas season, but basically year-round.
Yeah.
So there's a final concern here, and that is, it sounds like that this person, this daughter, who does not want, her dad's new wife to come to Christmas, it sounds like that there could be some narcissism going on here. Because here's what I know. Whenever a person wants to control or exclude or discern who is worthy to attend something, these are narcissistic traits. Now, again, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have boundaries if someone is a troublemaker. We shouldn't have boundaries if someone is constantly saying and doing arrogant things or harmful things. I'm not saying we shouldn't have boundaries. I'm not saying that people should not have some leadership in their home. I'm not saying that either. But what I am saying is beware when one person with no real authority begins to say who can and who cannot be a part of a family tradition or a family function, especially if there's no quote unquote just cause or reason.
Right.
Right. So if a person again is arrogant and rude and constantly causing trouble and constantly showing up intoxicated and doing lewd and crazy things.
Talk about healthy boundaries.
Exactly.
That is a healthy boundary.
Exactly. Then you create a healthy boundary. Of course you do. But again, that does not sound like the case here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is something, again, just to remind the audience, that narcissistic people often have a sense of self-importance. They're preoccupied with their own fame and status. They feel entitled. They're often arrogant. They don't show a lot of empathy. And they have these grandiose beliefs about themselves. And so, again, in the holidays, this is especially true for some people as these traits begin to really come out and really begin to take over and begin to ruin what could be a good family tradition or holiday. So this is important to note. I think that's what's going on in this family. So again, when this person takes over, they're the one who causes problems. They hurt other people and they kill the joy of the season. They kill the joy of the family. So again, people with these traits, they're hard to interact with because they want to be the ones who are in complete and total control. So here's the question everybody wants to know. How do you face the holidays and be authentic?
Good question.
How do you face the holidays and be gracious? How do you face the holidays and be kind to those who are unkind to you?
Right, because we're going to run into those people.
Exactly.
Whether they're in our family or not, you're going to have people that are not kind, that are not gracious, that are not benevolent and giving, that do want to ruin your holiday.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So that's, how do we deal with those people?
Yeah, because again, everybody's going to have that Ebenezer Scrooge in their life. Everybody's going to have that Grinch in their life. Everyone's going to have that time, and our natural knee-jerk reaction in many ways is to push back, to create insult for insult. That's just our natural, and if you want to use words that church people understand, fleshly, ways, if you will. So how do you go beyond the holidays and during the holidays, and be authentic? Because again, authentic people are called to be flexible. Authentic people are flexible. That is one of their traits. Just like a trait of the narcissist is to be domineering and to be grandiose and to be insulting, the trait of the authentic person is to be flexible, to learn how to roll with it. Again, you see this in the movie The Christmas Carol with Fred Hollowell, the nephew of Scrooge. He kind of rolls with it. He still is kind. He still is gracious, even though he's been insulted. Authentic people also have a sense of who they are. And that's very important to note. When you know who you are, when you're confident in who you are, when you're confident in your abilities, when you're confident in what you've accomplished, when you're confident in your vocation, when you're confident in your marriage, the reality is that you, again, show and you portray, if you will, you present, if you will, this sense of authenticity.
Yeah.
You're authentic because authentic people have a sense of who they are. Right. And the amazing thing is authentic people frustrate the narcissist. Because the narcissist, like Ebenezer Scrooge, keeping that picture in front of us, the narcissist, they want to see you squirm. They want to see you upset. They want to see the control they have over you. They want to see how far they can push you. They want to see how deep they can hurt you, if you will. And that's how they come across. And again, you see this constantly in the movies like The Grinch or The Christmas Carol, where they're constantly coming at you. They're constantly trying to put you down. Because as they sense that, as they see that, that is validation for them that what they're doing is working. Yeah. That they have control, because that is their key element. They want control over other people. And again, every pastor who's listening to this right now knows these people in their church. Okay, the name is coming across your mind right now. The names of these people, because they are wanting to control the church, the pastor, the music. They're wanting to control the messages. They want to control how long the preacher preaches. I mean, the list could go on, because that's who they are.
So the thing that combats that is somebody that's authentic.
Authentic people, that is the antithesis of the narcissist, and the authentic person frustrates the narcissist because the authentic person is flexible. They roll with it. They nod and grin and do what they want to do, okay, kind of thing, because they are confident and comfortable with who they are. Authentic people aren't seeking validation. If you're seeking validation, then you can do everything you can possibly do to get the validation or the thumbs up from the narcissist.
Yeah, that's one of our associate pastors, Brother Sam, says all the time. He says it's nice to have affirmation, but you can't afford to need it.
Right, exactly. Good point. That's a great point. So narcissistic people get frustrated with authentic people, again, because authentic people aren't seeking validation. They're not seeking attention. They know when to step away without being rude. And that is one of the things that the authentic person will do. They will step away without being rude. They are gracious, but they're willing to step away, not retreat, but to pull themselves out of a situation where they are constantly being insulted, berated, all the things that want to be hurtful by the narcissist. Authentic people also are usually older, and the reason why they're often older is because the maturity and the wisdom they've gained over life has helped them to be authentic. And so authentic people are usually older, but again, they don't have to be. A lot of people, learn life lessons, gain wisdom, at an early age, especially if they receive wise counsel, especially if they put to practice some of the principles of the Word of God. They don't act nasty and they don't act vengeful. They push away expectations because they're comfortable in their relationships, their life skills, and they see through the narcissistic person. The authentic person sees through the narcissistic person. Again, in the movie The Christmas Carol, again, the nephew, Fred Hollowell, he sees through the pain of his uncle. He sees through, again, his very caustic spirit, if you will. And so they see through the narcissistic person. They recognize them. They recognize what they're doing. And once again, they're comfortable with their life skills and they're comfortable with their place in life. Here's the point, though. Being authentic is not easy. It's not easy being authentic. It requires time and energy. It requires wisdom. It requires counsel. It requires life experiences. And it requires, again, being comfortable with who you are. I think that is one of the great needs of most people today, being comfortable with who they are, being comfortable with what they've accomplished, being comfortable with what they have obtained, being comfortable with what they have achieved. And so once you're comfortable with who you are, then the narcissistic person has very little control over you. And this is something I see with many young pastors, if you will, maybe new to ministry. They just want to please everybody. They want everybody to like them. They want everybody on their side, everybody on their team, everybody to give them a thumbs up. And they will do almost anything, to gain that. And when they do, they're setting themselves up for the narcissist to come into their life and to take full control over them. And to basically tell them what they can and cannot do, how they can and cannot preach, where they can and cannot, visit, or whatever it may be, how they can and cannot spend their money. Do I hear an amen for the pastors out there? Okay, so the point I'm making, if the pastor buys a new pair of socks, the narcissist has something to say about it. So the point is this, be in sync with who you are. And not what the demands of the world are. Be in sync with who you are and not what the demands of the world are, because the world's going to put a lot on you. The world's going to put a lot of expectations on you. And those expectations are the things that are going to try to control your life. And so again, for the authentic person, know what you stand for, know what your purpose is, know what brings meaning to your life, know what you believe. Again, there are some people that may even try to persuade you that what your beliefs are not authentic or not, sound or what have you. Know what you believe, know why you believe it, be able to defend your faith, be able to defend your beliefs, know what your purpose is. And here's the bottom line. The more authentic you are, the more you'll defeat the narcissist in your life. The more authentic you are, the more you defeat the narcissist in your life. And again, back to our movie, The Christmas Carol. You saw this with Fred Hollowell. He remained authentic. He kept focused on his traditions. He kept focused on his invitation. He kept focused on, what he felt was the meaning of Christmas. He kept focused on the fact that Christmas was something that he wanted to share and he wanted to be a part of, and he wanted to include, Uncle Ebenezer.
Even Uncle Ebenezer, that's right.
And so he was authentic. And again, this is, I think, where so many people, I think, struggle, not just during the holiday season, but they struggle in life. And so, again, I want to encourage people out there that if you don't have that confidence, if you don't have that sense of authenticity, if you will, if you are constantly being controlled by the narcissist, to begin to recognize who you are and what you've accomplished and be comfortable with who you are. Again, back to this couple, they're newlywed, and they are a prime target for the narcissist, because this sounds like maybe their first Christmas together, maybe their second Christmas together as a married couple. And as she said, we go to church, we live a quiet life. And so this narcissist perhaps in their life, trying to say where they can and cannot spend Christmas, what they have to do is, if they're listening, I hope they have to make the adjustment. They have to maybe create a new tradition. They maybe have to take maybe the invitation of other family members, or create something on their own without pushing back, without sharing insult for insult, without creating division on their end from this daughter who is saying, you cannot come to our house for Christmas.
Right, which is so often the difficult proposition, is to not, you said, return insult for insult, to not then engage in a battle, to not become combative yourself or controlling yourself, but create a new opportunity, a new option, and pursue something that's going to, like you said, bring meaning to your life, that's going to help fulfill the purpose that you have. So I think those are some really good ideas and some good insight into dealing with the narcissist at Christmas. Do you find that, and we'll just end with this, do you find that doing those things solves the problem, or does it just create more peace for somebody that's authentic? Yeah,
what I think it does is that it solves the problem in the sense that you are not feeling or embracing the insult.
Okay.
You're not embracing the pain that this is trying to cause. You're not allowing the division this is trying to cause to occur in your marriage. Because what this daughter is wanting to do is she's wanting to pull dad away from his new wife, keep the new wife, at home, so dad
away
can come, and share and celebrate the Christmas traditions with their family. And dad is saying, you know what? I am comfortable with who I am. This is my wife. She's my priority. We are life partners now, and you cannot have one without the other. And so what that will do is that will, again, this daughter may not like it, but down deep, she will have to respect it.
There you go.
And she'll have to recognize that maybe next Christmas or the next holiday, then she may have to change her tune. And in so doing, because there was no insult for insult, that door now may come open. Right. And maybe next year or the year after that, there can be hopefully some reconciliation, and the family can hopefully be together in that capacity once again. Yeah,
so being gracious leaves those doors open for future. And so there you have it. Be comfortable with who you are. Be authentic this Christmas season. And we do hope that in all things that you're able to celebrate the birth of Christ with joy. Amen. And with your families. Just want to say thank you again today for the incredible people at Winter's Air and Days Smokehouse and Specialty Meats for underwriting today's show. And thank you for listening. We appreciate it. Yes. As a reminder, the Family Answer Man is not a therapy session. We're not able to give specific advice to your situations, but we do believe that family dynamics are very complicated, and mental health is a very serious issue. So for in-depth answers to your question, we definitely want to encourage you to seek professional counsel specific to your unique circumstances. But we hope, as always, that this episode of the Family Answer Man will encourage you and inspire you to make the changes that will lead to a stronger, healthier, happier family.